Bishop James Dixon II is an international visionary leader who has built a life of empowerment by grace through faith. Utilizing biblical principles, he has empowered leaders in ministry, business, education, civic, and political arenas. Bishop Dixon advocates that the church must do more outside of the church than inside its own four walls. Bishop Dixon's message of faith is the gospel of the kingdom. His ministry is kingdom-focused and his mission is kingdom-inspired, as evidenced by his work in compassionate confrontation. He has developed kingdom initiatives with social impacts, some of which include Good Gang USA, Coats of Compassion, the Light Up Crusade, ministering the love of Jesus behind prison walls, and partnered with those in the global fight to prevent and free individuals from human trafficking, because the difference we make is the difference that matters.
Here's your story, let's begin. The water's fine, come on, dive in. The future's here, it's right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. You're welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could.
Good evening. My name is James Dixon. I am so excited to welcome you to the new Empower Talk presentation today. This is a talk show not to miss. Week after week, starting tonight, you're going to meet some very special guests. But let me first of all thank you for tuning in to Empower Talk Live. And you already know that everything we talk about is going to be relevant, resourceful, and relatable. I want you to write those things down, put them in your chat, put them in your post, text it, tweet it, that Empower Talk is about being relevant, resourceful, and relatable. Again, I'm your host, Dr. James Dixon. I pastor the Community of Faith Church in Houston, Texas, and I am the vice president of the Houston chapter of the NAACP. I lead an organization called One Family, One Future. I'm a social justice advocate, a community impact leader, and a thought leader. I am just excited about all that God has blessed me to do in the Houston community and around the nation. I work with civil rights leaders around the country, from Attorney Benjamin Crump, Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Dr. Jamal Bryant, Dr. Freddie Haynes, and Dallas. There's so many of us who are part of the aggregation of social change agents around the nation. And so I am honored to be your host for James Dixon Empower Talk. Tonight, if this is your first time tuning in to a show that I host, I promise you, by the time the show is over, you're going to be saying, wow, I want more. Because the information we share is enlightening, and the insight we give are also igniting. You're going to want to be a part of making a difference in your community. And by the way, we always say that the enlightened mind is an empowered mind. And so many people need to understand that you can't be empowered until you're enlightened. So tune in here to Empower Talk. While I'm warming up here just a little bit, invite your friends, tag your friends, tell them to come on and join us. And we appreciate you tuning in right now to Empower Talk Live. I'm going to introduce some special guests in just a minute, but I want to send a shout out to the Houston chapter of the NAACP, our president, Dr. James Douglas, and so many of our committee members and board members. We do an amazing job together. Another shout out to the Anti-Defamation League. I'm a part of that entity on the board of the Coalition for Mutual Respect. We appreciate the ADL. And then the AGC, the American Jewish Council. I work with each of those organizations along with LULAC, my good friends over there, Al Baldonado and Mary Ramos. So many people who are out making a difference and making an impact. Our friends with Black Lives Matter. So much has happened in our nation over the last several months. We are sitting here with the backdrop of course, George Floyd, his senseless death, tragic death, public lynching that took place just a month or so ago, and in Minneapolis. Then you got Ahmaud Arbery in Atlanta, and beyond that, you got Breonna Taylor. So many things have happened in our community to cause social unrest. But I want you to know, here in Houston Harris County, we're working on a number of things. We're working on criminal justice reforms, bail reform. We're working on representation for the indigent and for the poor. You're going to hear a lot about those subjects in the coming weeks on Empower Talk, how we are working to get rid of the cash bail system, because there are people who are in jail not because they have been found guilty, but because they cannot afford to post a bond. Those are intricate issues. They're complex, not simple, but we've got to tackle them. Then, of course, we're working on police reforms. I'm one of the people appointed by Mayor Sylvester Turner to his police reforms task force. 45 Houstonians who are part of that structure, and I'm humbled to be one of those serving on the police reforms task force. So with that said, there's a lot happening in Houston Harris County that you got to be brought up to speed about. That's why you stay in tune to Empower Talk. And of course, we approach everything from the perspective of faith, because I'm a God-fearing man, God-loving man, God-serving man. I don't do anything, nothing at all, without allowing my faith to inform my thought, and my thought in turns to inform my passion informs my action. Did you get that? I know that was fast. Let me say it one more time. I do nothing without allowing my faith to inform my thought, and then my thought informs my passion, and my passion informs my action. If my faith doesn't say it, then my mind will not agree with it, and then my passion will not get excited. That's what real faith-based social justice and impact is really all about. Well, enough about me. Let me get now to my special guests who are here. I'm so excited about this new project and program we got going on that's being launched right now in collaboration with the African American Police Officers League, as well as with HPD Recruiting. You're going to meet HPD Recruiting officers in the second segment. In our first segment, I'm glad to have the president of the African American Police Officers League in Houston, Texas, Sergeant DeAndre Hutchinson. How you doing, DeAndre?
I'm doing very well, Bishop. Thank you for having us on. It is a pleasure. We're so excited about what you're doing here at this church, and we just thank you for the opportunity to come out and share a little bit about this collaborative.
Man, we're excited about having you. How long have you been president of APOL?
That went into effect January 1 of 2020.
Okay.
So the Afro-American Police Officers League is an organization that's over 45 years old. I have our immediate past president here, Eric Carr, with me today. But this organization has been doing great work in the community, trailblazing, speaking out and doing things related to social justice, equality, and fairness. We've been doing that for a while.
Absolutely. So now we have Detective Eric Carr here, who's the executive director of APOL. How you doing this evening?
I'm blessed and highly favored. Thank you for having us.
Great to have you here, man. And you brothers are doing a lot in the community, and we'll talk about that. But tell me, why is it necessary to have an organization like APOL within the Houston Police Department's construct?
Absolutely. So we, the Afro-American Police Officers League, we represent a huge minority officers at the Houston Police Department. So in that, there's a huge, long line of history that goes along with that. When African-American officers first came onto the department, they weren't even allowed to arrest white citizens. So you can imagine the huge divide that was there over 45 years ago. But now we've transitioned to today, and we're still seeing inequality in our community as well as in our police department. And that's where APOL comes in. We actually have a dual focus where we represent the community as well as the black and brown officers of the Houston Police Department.
That's amazing, and that's a piece of history that you want to make note of. People will never think that. Mm-hmm. You know, that the organization is 45 years old, and when you think about a history where black officers, police officers, when they first joined the Houston Police Department, were not allowed to arrest white citizens.
Absolutely. That's part of our history right here in Houston.
And so and we're not talking about 100 years ago.
We're not talking about 100 years ago, but that was definitely the case when the Houston Police Department first started allowing blacks to be police officers. So
Okay.
then APO came on the scene, and then APO did a lot of different things advocating for black and brown police officers.
Wow, and you're still having to do that.
Yes, sir, absolutely, and it's more important now than ever.
That's amazing. So, Detective Carr, how long have you been with in law enforcement?
Approximately 18 years with the Houston Police Department.
Okay.
I spent most of my time working in cyber financial crimes, doing investigations. I'm currently assigned to HPD Public Affairs. That's the African American Community Liaison.
Okay. So you've got 18 years of experience with HPD. And how about yourself?
I just celebrated my 9th year.
9th year. And so I want to, because these are both professional law enforcement officers, law enforcement professionals, a sergeant and a detective, and you've been with APO for a number of years, I would imagine, since you're going.
Absolutely, straight out of the academy, and that's where we go and recruit members to the Afro-American Police Officers League, and a lot of our members start when they join up when they are fresh in the academy, and they continue throughout their entire career.
And let me just add that our organization has all diversity of officers. We have black, white, Hispanic, Asian officers, and when officers come, cadets, they join APO because they see a lot of the work that we do in the community, and they want to be part of that solution. So our membership includes all.
Very diverse. Let me ask you, we're talking about police reform with the backdrop of the George Floyd murder and other things that have brought us to this place, kind of a tipping point, if you will, and we're all looking at what we can do differently. One of the things that we've talked about in Houston for a very long time is how do we get more officers involved with the Houston Police Department who are from Houston and from particular communities. And we've been discussing this in the social justice arena for many, many, many decades. Let's talk about why that's important in contrast to what has been happening historically, where we got so many officers who come from different places who are not familiar with our terrain. And then let's get into what it is you propose that we're partnering with right now.
Yes, we realize that we have a lot of good fruit in our own backyard. And this particular goal is we want to go to the communities where we serve and encourage them to consider a career in law enforcement, particularly with HPD. But like you said, since Ferguson, George Floyd, and different other incidents that happened around the country, a lot of people in our community, particularly the black and brown community, are not motivated to be part of law enforcement because what they see in the media. But we want to focus on police relations because we are from some of those same communities.
Absolutely.
And we know that everybody in those communities are not bad apples or bad seeds. So we're partnering with our partners like yourself, faith-based groups, churches, universities, and we're going to go out into our community. We're going to bring recruiting to them, encourage, motivate, and inspire them to come join us so they could be the solution and be the change that they want to see.
And to add to that, I just want to make it very clear that the Houston Police Department, our police chief, Art Acevedo, and our command staff, including Executive Assistant Chief Troy Fenner, who's a friend of yours, as well as our Executive Assistant Chief Matt Slinker, they are all on board with this initiative, and we appreciate them for that, as well as the mayor, Mayor Sylvester Turner. But we want to articulate that most officers are doing their job the right way, with honor, integrity, and respect. But it's not fair for those officers who go out and do this job the right way to be tarnished and looked upon and frowned upon because of the actions of a few. So that's why we want to make this initiative. And it's so important that we go out into our communities and people who are vested in this community to police these communities.
Well, Dr. Lee P. Brown brought to Houston decades ago the concept and the philosophy of community-oriented policing.
Absolutely.
I was a young guy when that happened. I don't want to kind of date myself, but I do remember when Dr. Lee P. Brown was brought to Houston by Mayor Kathy Whitmire.
Absolutely.
And he brought community-oriented policing. He wrote the book on it. And we saw changes in our community based on this philosophy and this doctrine, if you will, that he taught and that his command staff taught and adapted to.
Okay.
And now here we are in 2020, still looking to what can we do to make the kind of improvements between community and police, because we know that there's a lot of distrust. Some of that, of course, has to do with the fact that you just mentioned, Detective Carr, that we don't have enough people coming from our own communities who are going into law enforcement who can speak to their community, their language, and their vocabulary, who understands the nuances and the culture. The concept you've come up with, which I think is brilliant,
Absolutely.
is, as in your words, I love this vernacular, I'll use it in the sermon too, that
not
we've
gonna
got some
charge for
great
free.
fruit growing in our own backyard,
Yep.
which means that we've got parents and grandparents who are raising kids to become young adults who would be great as police officers in our community in terms of careers.
Absolutely.
How did you get into law enforcement yourself?
Absolutely. I started off in accounting. I have accounting background. I have a master's in accounting, and I was working for one of the top accounting firms in the world, PricewaterhouseCoopers. But I every day going into work, I used to pass the HPD recruiting office.
Wow.
Every day walking, our business was housed right across the street, and I'd always wondered what it would be like if I were a police officer, but never really looked at it as a viable option. Why? Because most people say cops don't make no money. So I was like, okay, that's the thing I might want to do, but I'll never probably end up doing. And it wasn't until I did it, I found out it was the best decision that I could have ever made, and it's actually pretty lucrative.
Wow. So you were in accounting,
And accounting.
working for this Fortune 500 accounting firm,
Yes, sir.
passing the recruiting office at HPD
Every day.
every day, and decided to check it out.
I decided to check it out because I always had that desire to want to help people just by nature.
Yeah.
That was the type of person that I was. That was the type of person I was in school, so on and so forth. But to get that opportunity to actually live out my faith, because I'm a God-fearing man like yourself, to live out my faith in my career, that was the best decision that I could have made, to come over to HPD and do that day in and day out.
Wow. And we'll talk about why it's a valuable career in just a minute. You were about to chime in on it.
Yeah, I just, be honest with you, Bishop. Where I'm from, I'm actually from the New Orleans area, and we didn't like the police coming up as a kid.
Yeah.
And I used to complain about the police and how they would treat people and what I didn't like. But it just happened to be a friend of mine from my neighborhood who was an officer. And I used to complain to him and discuss about things that we used to see in the community and why the police used to do this and didn't do this. And he said, you know what? You would be the perfect type of police officer. I said, who, me? Oh, no, not me. I don't like the police. And because of the relationship that I had with him, he encouraged, inspired, and motivated me to pursue a career in law enforcement. So when I went on to college and started to study criminal justice, the seed that he sowed in me a decade ago started to sprout, and I started becoming more interested in law enforcement. Wow. And that's how I became into the profession. And that's what I would like more officers to do. Go back to where the communities where you come from. Because a lot of times we come from the communities, and then we go to new communities, but we don't go back to our own communities. We have to do a better job, especially the so-called good officers. We have to be walking commercials, especially now, and go back to our communities and sow those same seeds that people sowed in us, Bishop.
That is so powerful. And listen, while you listen to this, be sure tag your friends, invite them to come on and join this conversation, because this is really going to be powerful. And then ask questions, because in a few minutes, we're going to entertain some questions from those of you who are viewing by live stream. This is a conversational dialogue about the subject matter here at hand. We're talking about police reform through a new program for recruiting new cadets in our communities. Imagine, we're talking about Acres Homes, Fifth Ward, Sunnyside. Third Ward, South Park, Missouri City, you know, Mo City, the Fofo, the Nickel, the Trey.
Don't forget the SWAT, A-Leaf.
I can't forget A-Leaf for real. And I remember A-Leaf because y'all beat us in football, but that's another story for another day. But so we're talking about a new program that's being launched with APOL, the African American Police Officers League, in collaboration with HPD Recruiting, and you're going to meet some recruitment officers in just a few minutes, going into these neighborhoods, sending great career law enforcement professionals like yourselves and others back into the community to say, hey, man, have you ever thought about becoming a police officer? It's saying to the young ladies, because we're going to meet some sergeants who are female.
Absolutely.
To say, hey, have you ever thought about a career in law enforcement? What has been your biggest pleasant surprise in terms of forming a career as a professional law enforcement officer?
I'll start, but definitely the pleasant surprise for me has been the brotherhood, definitely, and that, you know, we meet some of the greatest individuals. My coworker here, Eric Carr, just working alongside with him on various initiatives, as well as the work that we do with the Afro-American Police Officers League. But definitely just meeting lifelong friends. But also, like I mentioned earlier, being able to live out your faith through your work. Make a difference. I've mentored kids that I've met on scenes. We've actually been able to change people's lives through this job or through this profession, as we call it. But like you say, just being able to provide for your family while doing something. When I was an accountant, I was nobody's hero.
Wow.
Nobody's hero.
Yeah.
But when I became a police officer, I became a hero to not only my kids, but also nieces, nephews, as well as uncles and aunts.
Wow.
So that fulfillment, to be able to do something that's actually fulfilling, as well as make a difference in our community.
Wow, and that's powerful stuff. And Secretary Carr, you said you didn't like police officers growing up because of the stigma and the reputation.
Correct.
I can kind of relate to that as a kid. When I was a kid, I never wanted to be a police officer. I knew a few kids who did. Most of those kids did not look like me. But when I look up and I see law enforcement professionals like yourselves,
Absolutely.
Men of dignity, honor, and integrity with families, and you love God, and you're articulate, and you're making impact every day. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that kind of police officer existed when I was a kid. Talk about this as a career, because at the end of the day, people want to know, can I feed my family doing this?
Yes, this is a career that could help you with generational wealth.
Absolutely.
And it's a career that not only you go on a job every day, but it's a career that gives you an opportunity to do something fulfilling and help make an impact in changing this generation for the better. Wow. And I think that one of the most encouraging things about it is just hearing the thank yous and seeing the smiles on people's face when you actually help them. When you get involved in a situation to help someone and they have an expectation that you're going to be a jerk, and then you actually be professional with them and you help them and see that change when they look and say, oh man, you know what? I'm sorry, officer. I thought you was going to be a certain type of way. I appreciate you. I'm sorry for just those little things go a long way. And that's why we know that we could help make an impact and change this world with one person at a time.
Wow. So talk about generational wealth. Now that's a major conversation because truthfully, when you think about a career, you want to make a difference, but you need to make $1, right? Because your kids want to know, not only were you the hero to the kid on the street,
Absolutely.
right? Are you my hero who can send me to school and to college and keep food on the table?
Well, one thing we wanted people to also know is with the Houston Police Department is by far, and I know I'm kind of biased, but by far one of the best police department in the world. We have over 40 different divisions you could get involved in. We have everything from helicopters, lake patrol, we have a K-9 unit, you could be investigation detectives, you could work with juveniles, we have a mental health unit, We have a bicycle patrol. We have bomb squad. We have so many different entities within the department that you could actually, so many different divisions within the department that you could actually pursue. In addition to that, HPD actually pays you for your education. So if you have a degree, whether it's a master's or a bachelor's degree, you get educational incentive. You get more on your salary because of that. And one thing that sets us apart from other actually police academies are when you're in the police academy, HPD pays you bi-weekly.
Wow.
Pays you bi-weekly to get that education, to get that training. They pay you bi-weekly. So it's a lot of incentives. It's a great opportunity to take care of your family, have your career job. And what many families do, the grandfather was a police officer, the father was the police officer, the granddaughter was the police, the kids, and they keep that generational wealth going on for several decades and generations. And we want to do the same for our communities as well.
That's impressive.
So just to add on to that, I'm a first generation law enforcement officer, partly because my family didn't know all of the benefits that came or were associated with this particular profession. So I go home and I talk to cousins and friends, and we recruited, but I never would have known that getting into this profession that would land me into a seat like this one, where I'm actually talking to a bishop. I'm actually changing. I've been on Good Morning America. I've been on CNN, making change in our community because of the work that we do with the Afro-American Police Officers League.
So, as I'm listening to you, had I been exposed to, and my friends, been exposed to this conversation when I was 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, I know a number of us who are considered the viable opportunity to become police officers.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking right now, think about my inner circle of my high school classmates.
Okay.
And we had a great brunch. Only one of us two of us became a police officer.
Okay.
One male, one female in our class. And I'm thinking about how many more of my peers would have considered careers in law enforcement had they had a conversation. And listen, y'all got to check this out because this is legal money to begin with, right?
I like to tell people it's one of the few professions that's recession-proof, in that normally when the economy takes a downturn or we have issues or catastrophes, normally officers are the ones that's called upon to put in the overtime, to work double time, to make sure that in the event of a storm or a hurricane or anything, we normally have to come in and work more hours. So that's when, like you said, the economy may be going downward, but our income
Your pay goes up.
I didn't want to say it like that,
Yeah,
but
it goes up. I mean, but it ain't fair, too, because I love it for y'all, but I put in overtime, and it just...
Pay the same,
yeah,
huh,
God bless you. Thank you, Pastor. So you might not want to consider a career in pastoring and ministry, but this is very important for people to really, really understand.
Absolutely.
That it's recession-proof for the most part, and it's lifelong. I mean, when you finish your career, you can finish your career in a way that you are set for life, and you can sow back into coming generation.
The upcoming generation. You have so many officers that do things outside of police work as well. We call them extra jobs, but they can do so many things. They can be a physical therapist. They can be a real estate agent. They can do financial literacy classes like Detective Carr. They could be an adjunct professor at a university. There's, like I say, the sky's the limit, because when you're not at work, as long as you're not violating our 16-hour rule, you can really do whatever it is that you so desire.
So let's talk just a minute about who we are seeking to recruit. When we go out to the community, you're going to be talking to people about why I become a police officer and how this program is going to work. We've got a date coming up here soon in August. Let's talk about that, because we're going to get 200 plus people we're looking for.
Absolutely.
Who want to hear about this opportunity and see if they really want to take advantage of it.
So, yeah, we're definitely going to punt that question over to our HPD recruiting professionals that you're going to have on in a second to give you all the specifics. But what APOL is here to do is to come in the middle and be the intermediary to offer mentorship to these individuals that are going to be coming through our program, because we want to set them up to be successful.
Yep.
This is not a process that you enter into lightly, without thought, without any kind of advising. So we want to definitely partner them up with qualified mentors that are going to help them navigate this difficult process.
We're going to walk them through the process.
From start to finish.
Start to finish, right? And good.
Yeah, no, we're just going to try to help get them on a fast track. In addition to that, we're looking for people who have a heart for service.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Who have a heart for service. And we know one thing, that many a times we could find that good fruit right here within our own churches. A lot of times we could find everything we need within they used to call the church house.
Absolutely.
And we know that there's ministers and youth ministers and ushers and a lot of people that have that heart of service, that's ready to serve their community, and that would step up to the calling.
All right, so we're going to put a gathering together, and you want to talk about that event to bring people together and why it's important for y'all that we're doing this after church.
Yes, because we want to basically inspire, motivate, and educate people within the community about this profession. And we wanted to let them know, hey, these are the things that we want you to take in consideration before you even apply. Mm-hmm. And we want to let them know, hey, the test is something that some people may have challenges with. So we want to educate them on the process and show them how they could be successful with the process and encourage them not to give up and just take your time to actually prepare yourself to be successful.
Actually, and yeah, we just want to basically create this incubator because you have a relationship with the community, a very strong relationship because of all of your activism and involvement. So we want to come here and partner with the church and use and leverage those relationships that you already have with the community to bring in good apples, like he mentioned, good fruit into this place, and then we put them in some type of symbolize an incubator where we can get these people, and the ones that are ready today, we can push them inside the recruiting process. The ones that are not, we can pull them aside and start working with them one-on-one to get them ready for one day they might be ready to go into the recruiting process.
So listen, this is going to get exciting. In the next half, we're going to talk to recruitment officers and give you more detailed information about qualifications, things you got to do to be ready to get into this program. But let me tell you this now. I'm excited for all these people who say, wow, I've been looking for something new, something innovative, a way to get my life started on a positive path. And I need you to write down our website, www.thecommunityoffaith.org, thecommunityoffaith.org. We'll have information on the church website so you know how to get into this program, as well as onefamilyonefuture.org. onefamilyonefuture.org. We'll tell you how to get involved with this process in either of those websites, and we'll connect you to the recruitment officers with HPD. But do understand this, that you don't want to not consider it.
Absolutely.
You don't want to not consider it. Let me tell you something. This is a viable opportunity to become a hero to your family and to your community. I'm excited about it.
I'm excited too, and the message is that your community needs you. That's really what I've been kind of championing and talking to people about, because if we get good people from our community that's vested in our community, to have a relationship with our community, we can minimize those incidents like we saw in Minneapolis.
Absolutely.
And that's the ultimate goal.
Any last remarks before we get off the car? Talk more about the gathering for our first orientation.
Yes, that's going to be next month, August the 14th and 15th. That's going to be Friday, August 14th. We're going to start Friday, August 14th at, that one is going to be
In the afternoon at 6
in the afternoon, and then Saturday morning.
From 10 to 12.
From 10 to 12, we're going to do the second part. So we're really excited. I mean, Bishop, you just don't know. We really feel like this is going to be a significant solution for a lot of things that's coming to pass, and we're just excited to shake those fruit trees to get good fruit from right here in our own backyard.
Now listen, that's August the 14th and 15th. Put those dates on your calendar, because when we release the flyer and the registration information, we want you to jump on, because if you wait, you'll be too late.
Absolutely.
Got me? If you wait, you'll be too late. You want to get in while you can fit in, August the 14th and 15th, in orientation. Listen, you don't have to come here expecting to be shut down, all that. You're going to come and listen and learn and see what the opportunities are, and you're probably going to be surprised at how viable an option this is. A career in law enforcement through the African American Police Officer League, the special recruitment program. It's endorsed by Mayor Sylvester Turner, by Chief Aceveda, by all the top brass, and by the lieutenants. All of these people are saying, yes, we want to recruit homegrown people to make a difference in the hometown, H-Town, baby. That's what's up. Listen, the next segment is coming right back up. Going to take a quick break, and then you're going to meet recruitment officers. Don't you turn this channel. Don't touch the dial. Right here, there's more Empower Talk to come. We'll be back in one moment. Hi, this is Bishop James Dixon. We're in a season of major pandemic, and it's important to stay safe. Mask up and test up. And that's why I'm inviting you this Saturday, July 18th, to a free COVID-19 testing event right here at the Community of Faith Church from 9 to 5 a.m. You love yourself? Get tested. Love your family? Get tested. Love your friends? Get tested. Love your coworkers? Get tested. Anybody you love, get them tested for free this Saturday. The address is 1024 Pinemont Drive. There's no excuse. Whoever you love, get them tested for free this Saturday, July 18th. Go to our website, thecommunityoffaith.org. Click on the flyer. Register right now to get tested this Saturday. I'll see you this Saturday at the COVID-19 testing. I love you.
Never underestimate the transformative power of compassion.
That's why I'm asking you to become my Faith Force partner. Together we can become an army of compassion. And through the power of compassion, we will change lives. We will provide hope and lift people out of despair. We will address conditions that cause people suffering, and we will see transformation. Become a Faith Force partner, and we will spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, empowering people through the Word of God. Dial the number on the screen or go to our website, thecommunityoffaith.org. Become a Faith Force partner today, and we will make change through compassion.
Welcome back to Empower Talk for the second half. It's been a robust conversation so far. Again, I'm your host, Dr. James Dixon from Houston, Texas, the Community of Faith Church where I pastor. But I'm not just a pastor, social activist, thought leader, difference maker, a change agent, a servant. I mean, I'll sweep the floor, whatever it takes, carry the groceries in the house, it doesn't matter. Whatever it takes to make a difference, that's what I do. I'm so glad you've joined us, because Empower Talk is where you want to be. The informed mind is the empowered mind, and the empowered mind makes a difference. So thank you for being with us. Listen, you want to catch this second half, tag your friends, invite them all to come in and join this conversation. This is what's up in Houston, Texas, and beyond. We're talking about something very special. Police reform, as you know, is a very important conversation in our community, around the nation. Many people are doing different things. I'm on Mayor Turner's Police Reform Task Force here in Houston. We're doing some innovative things to make a difference. But let me tell you, this concept that you're going to learn about now is absolutely off the chain. This is a new initiative launched by the African American Police Officers League in collaboration with the Houston Police Department Recruitment Division, and it's about how to recruit homegrown talent from our own communities and neighborhoods into HPD to develop lifelong careers in law enforcement, and at the same time bring difference to the streets of Houston, Texas. Joining me now is a law enforcement professional herself, Sergeant, that's right, Sergeant Sharla Woodard And I want to say, do you know, are you related to Bishop Woodard by chance?
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay, I got friends who in the ministry of Bishop Woodard.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for being with us today.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And thank you for having us. We're excited about the collaboration and to motivate, educate, and hire some qualified applicants.
Wow. Well, let me just tell you, I'm impressed, and I mean this in the utmost respect. I am impressed at the fact that HPD has law enforcement professionals from our community who look like us, both male and female, and you're at the sergeant level. Did you ever dream as a little girl, I'm going to be a police officer and a sergeant in the third or fourth largest police department in the nation?
No, as a kid, I actually wanted to go into a law enforcement field. But you know, when you're a young kid, you want to go federal. I wanted to be an FBI agent, work undercover, things of that nature. I went to college, got my undergrad in criminal justice and paralegal studies, went to grad school, and got my master's in public administration. Well, I did my intern with the FBI, and they said, guess what? You have to be a city officer first.
Wow.
So I went ahead and I joined the Houston Police Department, and 13 years later, I'm still here and loving every moment of it.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing. Where did you go to school in college?
Undergrad, I went to Grambling State University, and then graduate school, I went to Texas Southern University.
DSU.
Yes, sir,
All right,
HBCU.
good Tiger. I know that's right. I'm an HBCU doctoral grad myself. I was at TSU under Dr. Freeman.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, on the debate team.
Oh, yes,
That's
wonderful.
a whole nother conversation.
Yes.
But so now, undergrad at Grambling and master's at TSU.
Yes, sir.
And how has your education played a role in your career in law enforcement?
It helps a lot. Not only, like my brother said earlier, that we get the monetary benefit of having an education, but it helps a lot when you're out there and you're talking to people. You're able to articulate better, kind of de-escalate things a little bit more, and then we do a lot of writing. So it also hones in on those skills to be able to take very good reports so we can help our citizens of Houston. I mean, every aspect of it, even with the criminal justice and paralegal studies, I understood the law a little bit better because I studied it, and I think that's important as well. Graduate school, public administration, public policy, I just wanted to be well-rounded, try something different. So all of it plays a part when you are a Houston police officer. That's why that's one of the many requirements that we have. You can come in through education.
Sure. So this, Sergeant, this new program,
Yes, sir.
for such a time as this, why is it important to be launching an initiative that's focused on recruiting prospective cadets from neighborhoods where they will be sent back in to patrol as officers?
I think it's important to hire from within the community and from within Houston because they're familiar with the areas, they're familiar with how different people act, and you know they can relate. So the biggest thing for us, and this is one of the things that our Chief Acevedo, he pushes, is relational policing. So we want to be able to relate to those citizens that we're serving. So it's very important that we can hire within, and it's very important to educate. That's the most important thing, and that's the number one thing we need to do as police officers and as well as leaders of the community, is to educate those on how they can become a police officer, what you shouldn't do when you're 15 through 18 years old, so that when you turn 20 and a half, you can go ahead and apply, and it'll be a streamlined process for you.
Wow. Now, so how long have you been on the force?
13 years.
13 years.
Yes, sir.
And you were thinking you were going to join the city force on your way to the FBI Academy.
Yes, sir.
But you found a niche.
Oh, yes, I love it. There's so many divisions within the Houston Police Department. So one of my favorite divisions that I was in was mental health. That's one of my passions.
Wow.
I love it. They partner you with a counselor, professional counselor, and you go out and you help those that are actually in need. So, you know, that's something that people don't think about. They don't realize that we have that within the Houston Police Department. So, yes, and, you know, traffic enforcement, crime analysis. Now I'm in recruiting, going back out into the community, telling people how wonderful this job has been to me and to come on in. So I love it.
This is exciting to hear because this is a side of policing we don't get to talk about.
Yes, sir.
Right? You mentioned mental health. I talk to people all the time who they've got the passion, the compassion, I should say. They want to serve to make a difference with people with mental health, but they never thought about policing. That's viable. And so let's get to this. You're doing this to make a living.
Yes, sir.
While you make a difference.
Yes, sir.
How viable is this as a career financially?
It's very viable. I promoted as a sergeant a year ago. Before that, I mean, I lived well. You have, medical benefits. You have everything that you need. The money that we make is substantial to where you can live. I have 3 kids, so I can afford to take care of my kids. I have a husband as well, but even if he was not there, I would still be able to provide for them. So it's been very beneficial to our family, and it's something that you can actually live off and provide for yourself.
Wow. Now, let's get to this. We're talking about recruitment. Not everybody can be a police officer.
Correct.
Right? But let's talk about who can, because some people probably are thinking, man, I don't qualify.
Yes, sir.
How often is it that you find people who disqualify themselves, but if they give themselves a chance, they might be just what the department needs and could use?
Yes, that happens quite a bit. And I want to just go back to the monetary portion of it. If you go to our website, hpdcareer.com, it will show you the base pays for each level so that you can actually see what you're getting into before you get into it. Now, it's base pays, but we have several incentives that we throw on top of that as well.
Okay.
So you can figure out how much you may be making before you even decide that this is the career for you.
Let's state that again. HPD
Career.
Career.
Yes, sir.
HPD Career, not with an S. HPD CAREER. That's
yes,
right?
Sir. That's correct.
Go to that website and learn about prospective careers in HPD, salary structure, and those sorts of things. Most of you have never done that.
Yeah.
So take 10 minutes, go to that website and see what's out there and what's available to you, and you might just be surprised. By the way, parents, if you're a parent and you're in your 40s or 50s, you've got a young kid, a son or daughter who's in there, 20 and a half years old, 22, 23, still trying to figure out what they want to be in life, go to the website, connect your kid to it to say, hey, consider this as a viable option for your career path.
Yes, sir.
Now, Sergeant, let's talk about what kinds of basic things people need to have in order to be considered.
Okay, so some of the main requirements that we're asked commonly are, okay, I only have a few hours of college. For the Houston Police Department, you only need 48 hours of college, and you have to have a 2.0 grade point average. So if you have that, you haven't finished school, you ran out of money, you can't pay for school, come to the department. We pay for you to go through our police academy, and then we also have incentives for you to go back to school because we know how important school is.
Sure.
So that's one of the requirements. Another requirement, as I stated earlier, you have to be 20.5, so 20 and a half, to 44 years of age. Now, you have to be 21 before you graduate the academy, and you cannot be over, or you can't be 45 before you graduate the academy. So those are some of the common things that we get asked. You can come in through the military, 18 months active duty with honorable discharge. Also, you can be a prior law enforcement officer for 3 years, but the one that most people don't know is we take work experience, full-time work experience, 36 months out of the last 48 months. So you can work at one location and say, this is not for me. I have that full-time employment. Go to another location, have full-time employment, combine them together. If it equals 36 hours, you can come in through our door.
So work experience is a qualifier.
Yes, sir.
If
Yes,
you
sir.
work consecutively a full-time job for how long?
36 months in the last 48-month period.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I know there are a lot of people who fit those kinds of descriptions, right? So these are basic things that you need to have to be able to qualify to get into the program. And they're not that high. I mean, because, listen, don't count yourself out.
Yes.
And I think that's what you need to understand, that you got to start somewhere and give yourself a chance.
Yes, sir.
Now,
and that's the reason why your mission, your vision is very important, because you want to get out there and educate individuals on how they can make it through this process.
Yes.
Let them know you may not be ready now, but we're going to get you there.
Yes.
So that's why I'm glad to partner with you and go through your vision with you.
well, I know people saying, why is the pastor talking about recruiting law enforcement officers, And then when I started preaching and pastoring, I had no idea that I'd be doing a number of things that I do. But this, to me, is what the faith is all about. This is what Christianity is all about. I mean, making an impact and getting people to serve in
Absolutely.
such a way that the community is safer,
Yes, sir.
and at the same time helping people to build their own careers, which is family impact, family development, stuff that we preach and teach all the time. And then understanding that if we had a police force that was more reflective of our own community, we wouldn't have perhaps so many different issues happening that are a result of improper communication, lack of understanding, lack of relationships, and I'm just excited about that. Let's talk for just a minute about the process. Once a person comes to this orientation, August 14th and 15th, we're going to do some orientation, education, and inspiration.
Yes, sir.
And then those who are interested beyond that
Yes, sir.
will get more into some more information and indoctrination and helping them to understand the process of application.
Correct.
How important is it to be patient going through this process?
It's very important. It can take 3 to 6 months to go through the entire process. Some of the things that you can look at before you come to the seminar is go to the HPD Career website. It tells you some of those requirements to join. You can see if you fit that. If you feel as though you're unsure, you can call us Monday through Friday, 7 to 4, and ask a recruiter. They'll be glad to talk you through whether or not you can make it through the process. So as far as August 14th and 15th, after we do that seminar for success, the application process begins with you going on our website and going to apply. Once you apply it on NeoGov, the City of Houston NeoGov website, you're going to do a 33-page, I know 33 pages sounds like a lot, but it's a personal history statement, just telling about your relatives, any friends that you may have, things of that nature. Do not leave any spaces blank because that can prolong the process as well. And then also you want to print out a checklist. Everything on that checklist is important, and everything that I'm telling you is on our website for you to find. After you do that first process, you're going to schedule an interview, and that's when it really starts. That's when everything begins and we start the ball rolling. You'll go through a psychological, a medical background check, and the very last phase of that is going to be through the chief of police. We also have a physical agility test and a reading and writing test as well, the Nelson-Denny test.
Sure. Listen, like anything that's worth doing, there's always a process, right? But the process is minimal in comparison to the long-term potentials and benefits. When I think about Denise Jones, my high school classmate, Michael Sandier, my high school classmate, both of them have retired. And they are doing extremely well.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to you that if you get into the process, discover you like it, you may be just amazed at what you can cause generational to happen. And so, Sergeant, tell us, where do you see yourself in HPD in 5 to 10 years?
Hopefully I'll promote again, maybe be a lieutenant or a commander. There's no glass ceiling. So you can, if you put forth the effort, you can continue to promote and then impact people and make a difference. And that's one of the biggest things that I feel is important, is not only impacting those that are underneath me, the officers that I work for or that work for me, but also the citizens in the community. And I feel like you have a bigger voice the higher you go. So for me, there's no glass ceiling. I tell everyone, always try to motivate and inspire for them to move up the ranks. I believe that that's very important so that you can help those that are coming in the door to guide them and show them the right way. So that's where I see myself. And then hopefully, in 10 years, I'll be at 23 years. So hopefully 2 years after that, I'll retire and I'll be out somewhere in another country relaxing.
So you obviously African-American and female.
Yes, sir.
Talk to us about this from a female perspective. How have you enjoyed being on the force as a woman? And why are you able to so strongly invite other females to come be a part of HPD?
Well, for one, I love it. I tell everyone I had never touched a gun before I joined the police department because I wanted them to show me the correct way as to how to handle it. So a lot of my friends and a lot of females that I talk to out there, they're like, oh, I can't carry a gun. I can't do that. I say, no, it's a very prestigious job. For the most part, we talk. That's one of the things that we're taught to do, is to de-escalate. You talk. I have never had to use these weapons on my hips because I teach them that, you know, de-escalation is the key. I try to inspire females to come in and say, hey, this has been a good place for me to work. I enjoy coming to work each and every day. It's not work because it's something that I love to do. And there's so many opportunities there, whereas once you get done with patrol, because you have to do a certain amount of patrol, you can go anywhere you want to.
Wow.
Just put in the work, and you can get there.
Speaking of that now, the mounted patrol, if I was going to be an officer, I'd want to get my time on as a patrol officer.
Yes, sir.
And work my way up towards something like the mounted patrol, because I'm a horseback rider, So I'm saying, listen, there are viable opportunities and options within HPD, and I want you to explore these because we need officers who are from among us in our neighborhoods, 3rd Ward, 5th Ward, Acres Homes, the Trey. Listen, most cities, Sunnyside, South Park, A-Leaf, we need you. We need you. Greensport, we need officers from these communities. And so on August the 14th and 15th, you want to be at the Success seminar that we're going to be sharing. It'll be on our website, www.thecommunityoffaith.org, thecommunityoffaith.org, or go to onefamilyonefuture.org, and you'll have more information. The flyer will be posted there by tomorrow. You'll be able to click on that flyer, give us your information, and it's free. It's free. Yes, it's free. Come, listen, learn, and think about what could happen for your life, your family, if you could have a career as a law enforcement in Houston, Texas, law enforcement officer in Houston, Texas. I'm so excited about this. Thank you.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
I've met so many of the leaders in the recruitment department, the lieutenant and everybody else down. Everybody seems to be really excited about this.
Yes, sir, we are. I'm ready because of your vision, like I said, to motivate, inspire, and to educate and bring in quality applicants. That's what we plan to do. That's what we as the Houston Police Department are looking for. So, yes, we are excited about this and ready to get it started.
Well, when the community collaborates with professional law enforcement, with the support of a mayor, you've got a winning team going on here. Don't y'all miss this. It's happening in Houston, Texas. There's new things coming to the Houston Police Department, and faith is at the bottom of it. So don't you miss that either, right? Listen, thank you for tuning in to this. I want you to know how blessed we are to have the kind of leadership in law enforcement we have, and in the mayor, and the partnership with people like Sergeant Charlotte Woodard and our Detective Carr, as well as Sergeant Hutchison, who was here earlier, and all of those who happen to make this possible. We are about police reform and making a difference. Before I get off the air, I want to announce to you that I'm starting a new talk show. On Saturdays, I'm a co-host at KTSU-FM, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock a.m. on KTSU-FM. The program is called One Voice. You don't want to miss it. It starts this Saturday, July 18th. And one other announcement, from 9 to 5 this Saturday, we'll have free COVID-19 testing right here on the campus of the Community of Faith Church. You can register for that right now. Register now at www.thecommunityoffaith.org. We have about 100 more slots available, so don't wait. If you wait, you're going to be too late. But come on and be a part of the testing, and tell everybody you love, you got to stay safe and get tested. You love yourself? Get tested. Love your family? Get them tested. Love your friends? Get them tested. You can do it free Saturday, July 18th. Register right now at thecommunityoffaith.org. We're always up to something good, making a difference in what we do because we love who we are, we know who we are, who sent us, and remember, the empowered mind is the informed mind. Thank you for tuning in to James Dixon, Empower Talk. Later.
Here's your story, let's begin. The water's fine, come on, dive in. The future's here, it's right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. You're welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger.